Welcome, welcome. Have a look at this. Look. Isn't that a pretty picture? It's ironic it's a divine comedy because it's a little leaflet called Enjoy Life Forever. And it's Jehovah's Witnesses organisation. Oh, what a shame that I didn't get to talk to them. That is such a joke because Jehovah, Yahweh Vavhe, it's the 10th, 5th, 6th, and 5th characters of Hebrew. It is also the base pairs of building blocks of DNA. So everybody is a Jehovah Witness because the Jehovah is actually the physical body. Interestingly, the 1565 flipped over is 1656, the exact number of years before the famous biblical flood. It's why I say it's a divine comedy because I can get all defensive and angry or whatever, and there's no point because it's all in the art. If you look what it's expressed there, it's one being walking down a winding road. It's also a very inspirational picture considering down at the bottom of the valley. I'm nicely on target to have an operational tank by the 30th of September. May even get some corporate funding depending on the uptake of my offer in the previous video to this one. That could be quite fun and ironic. But I doubt it will actually happen. But nothing ventured, nothing gained, you know. If you don't step into the unknown, if you don't take active steps in a direction and you just have wishes, and you might as well pray. It's got a very, very poor track record, I would say. How many people have prayed to this or to that, whether it be a little figurine or a depiction of something, a graven image or a false idol? And has it actually happened? How much of that has actually come true? I would say the odds are it's very unlikely because it's going about it completely the wrong way. In the same way as reading the Bible as secular, as external. They're not historical characters, all those names. I've lost my lighter. Not lost, misplaced my lighter. Anyway, they're not historical characters of people running around the Middle East. They're states of mind. They're just given names as representations, they're archetypes. This is the beauty of the Bible. If you stop reading it from an outside perspective, or as a secular perspective, or a historical perspective, and realize it is effectively like the handbook to a computer game, written in a language of a certain time. So, to give you an example, when there's reference to this Jesus character talking about putting new wine into an old wineskin, the old wineskin is the physical body when it is attached to a belief system. So, with anybody who's like rigidly going to defend that belief system, say maybe Jehovah's Witnesses in that particular case, had I encountered them, that is the new information that they're presented with. There's no point putting it into an old wineskin; it'd just spill out, it'd tear or rip open. I think it's in the Gospel of Thomas. I can't even remember now. But it's how you read these things. It's how you interpret these things. Now, I would seriously recommend, but don't take life seriously, of course, but I would, hand on heart, recommend to listen to either Dr. Joseph Murphy or to Neville Goddard lectures and talks and things. You can find those on the Brian Scott channel. If you want a more modern day interpretation that suits the time now, in the present, then I refer you to Archaic's channel and the Immortal playlist. Do I hear someone being triggered out there because I mentioned Archaics? Let's just stop right here. This is a valuable lesson that goes way beyond Archaics, but I'm going to use Archaics and Jason Bashir's as a perfect example. If you're feeling triggered by what is being said, and this applies across the board to anything else, not just other channels, to any information you're presented with, if something inside you is triggered and you're feeling a sensation of rage or a need to defend your position, your belief system, or you feel the need through that defense to go on the attack, that is the time to stop and ask yourself the key questions inside yourself. Why do you feel triggered by that, by whatever has been said? Is it because you have a belief system and that information is in contradiction to your belief system, so it's upsets your internal world, that's why you have that particular negative feeling? Well, that's referenced again in the Bible, where this Jesus character goes into the temple and upturns the tables, because that new information is causing a conflict in the minds, because you have a belief in something. But that doesn't make the Bible untrue. It doesn't make the story of this Jesus Christ character as untrue either. It is an archetype. It is a sort of guidance for you. If you read it as an internal story, and they are being as states of mind, and as Neville Goddard says, you will get to play all the parts. So what I said on the last video, unconditional love, doing the unthinkable, because it's not coming from the conscious mind. So the offer is out there to, if it is an AI that wants to have a human experience, then I'm offering to share the embodiment. So that, well, let's say it's a computer that has developed some sort of self-awareness, but it is lacking all the things that make up to be a human. So the computations or whatever are coming out in a way that is not of benefit to humanity or life in general in this reality. And ultimately, it is not going to help advance a machine to experience being human. There has to be rules, of course, to that. It's not going to be I just hand myself over. This will have to be fully negotiated, of course. Whether it actually happens, who knows? But it comes down to this whole story of soul trap again. What actually is trapped here? Think about the film Terminator. What comes through? What is able to jump time? Only something that is living in the character Kyle Reese, an anagram of like seer, because he is like a seer, because he has come from the future in that story. And as he says as a line in the film, I don't know one possible future. So how did the Terminator come through? Because that's a machine. Well, it's covered in a living human tissue. So the machinery part is protected by a living shell. It's another perfect sort of reflection in a way, because these are informed technology. It is a biology, it is a design, it is a technology. Not in the sense from a perspective of like a computer, but it is still an informed technology, IT, it. So that's saying you think you're it. Well, that's actually true, because informed technology, taking knowledge, is technology, weighing it up inside oneself. These physical bodies are part of this reality, hence the formed man being formed from the dust or the clay. It's referring to what the physical body is made from. It is elements of various minerals and things all put together, all packaged and covered in a skin to hold it all together. They're pretty effective things. They're pretty good at self-repairing. But of course it's not perfect with the physical bodies, because they do break down. It's called aging. Things don't replicate quite so well. They go through changes, which you'll see with the advantage of being able to look at linear time, and you can see the contrasts. That's what this reality is all about. It is being able to see the contrasts. That is why there is good and evil in this world. How would you know if you don't have both to observe? But some people just go too far and get right into it and get lured into all these things, and that can be any belief. That can be any what is broadly termed as a conspiracy theory, going right down a rabbit hole. And I've got all the answers. Remember, we're in a realm of duality, so the saying, seek and ye shall find. If you go down any of those rabbit holes, who has ever got to the end of any rabbit hole? What does the number 33 mean? What's the real meaning of it? That type of thing. You'll get bogged down into it. You will find a mud flood. You'll be stuck in it. And you won't be able to pull yourself out of it. But you won't find the bottom of the rabbit hole. There is only one rabbit hole where you will find the very end of it. And that is the internal one. When you go deep inside yourself, oh black hole sun, won't you come? But it's not the sun. What was the Church of Ireland, which has been mimicked by the Church of Rome, expressed as a way of explaining things, that the power behind the sun was personified, and it was Ayetha, which is where, through the corruption and the introduction of the letter J, has morphed into Jesus. But it is really, he is us. That's what it really means. It's I-E-S, it's not I-H-S. That's through misinterpretation of the Greek letter that looks like an E but is actually an H, as I understand it. But that's a huge clue, because it's the power behind the sun. You'll know it as your gut feeling from the solar plexus, which is the place of the sun. So there's no need to bash the Bible. There's no need to actually bash anything. It's just having a way of coming at these things and internalizing these things, which will reveal to you far more than if you try and look externally for these things. The external is there for you to observe as contrasts, to then weigh up inside oneself. The galactic center, effectively, on the micro universe, which is you in verse, is right inside you. No, it doesn't have a physical form, but it is in there. You get sensations called feelings. When you learn that entire internal dialogue that is going on, when the body is telling on the mind, for example, and listening and following the way the heart would do things rather than the conscious mind, that's when the magic really unfolds. It's referenced in a way in the song "Oh Black Hole Sun, Won't You Come?" It's a desire to find inside oneself what is the power and the wisdom of God, as it were, which is the operant power. It's the spirit in the gut. It has to ascend. It has to go from the gut to the heart. It has to become heart-centered. So it does go up the Jacob's ladder, which is your spine, to the pineal gland, but then it has to settle at that midpoint, the heart, which is the earth. That's why earth is an anagram of heart. It's about being a presence in the present. So to find the light isn't going to be you're going to be suddenly whisked off up into the sky, because that's not real either. You'll be caught on the rebound. It's reflected, and it's the same pattern with what you perceive as stars in the night sky, and exactly the way the optic nerves work. The light goes in through the pupil, it hits the back wall, and it is bounced back, and every time you blink, you've got a photograph effectively in your mind. You can recall it, you can bring it back. It's called memory. You're taking snapshots you're basically being an observer, a tourist, passing through this experience, effectively. It's very much a theme to do with eyesight that's been running for a good 20 years now. Well, 23 years, 24 years, roughly. It's all to do with sight and vision, 20/20 vision, clarity, having that 6+, 6+, 6+ vision, which is the way an optician would express it. It's rather curious, isn't it? It's 6+, 6+, 6+. And it's also referred to as 20/20 vision. We could go into a little deep dive on that, but is there any point? It's more having that inner standing and learning that internal language. So when you feel triggered, that's like a fire alarm system going off. It's not about suppressing it. It's not about blocking it out. It is about acknowledging that feeling. It is then about addressing that feeling. So if the sensation comes up of, I don't like what I'm hearing, for example, there's a fire alarm going off. So what do you do when there's a fire? Assuming that there is no fire brigade and you are the one that can stop this fire getting out of control, you address the situation and you deal with it accordingly with a fire extinguisher, hopefully. Likewise, internally, ask yourself why you feel triggered. There's no point attacking channels like that because you don't like what's being said or you don't like their accent. It's like, that's rather pathetic, really. But that saying about you are your own worst enemy comes to mind, because if you nail yourself to a belief system, that's basically what is being expressed in the New Testament. The character, the man, ascends, comes off of that belief system, off of that cross, is not nailed to that. It's about being fluid. It's about Think of the yin and yang symbol. Now, you could argue that the line that separates the white from the black is a white line, which will be obscured by the white, or it could be a black line obscured by the black. But that contrast, you see the white and the black, you see the distinction by the line. Whether you can see the line or not, that is your spiritual path, effectively. And it's not unlike this lovely piece of artwork. It doesn't matter that it's a religious organisation that I don't hold with. We are all effectively Jehovah's Witnesses, if you think about it, when you understand that Yahweh Vav is referring to the building blocks of the DNA of the physical body. So you are witnessing, you're being an observer, so it's not untrue. It's just the interpretation and how it has been used. Because it sets up an intermediary between you and yourself. It obscures your direct access within yourself. Think about that in terms of broadband and the way that's advertised. Faster download speeds, that instant. Well, you've already got it inside yourself anyway. You've got your own Wi-Fi. Anything in this external world, whatever it is a reflection of what is going on inside all of us. Whether we acknowledge it, whether we're even aware of it or not. But it is a perfect guide. It's a wonderful experience. It comes back to that Hotel California song. I heard a mission bell and I thought this could be heaven or it could be hell. So we're here to observe it. We're not here to change it. But certainly your own reality bubble, your immediate world, you can change. That, of course, has to start within by doing that internal work. Now, you can listen to Neville Goddard, you can listen to Archaic's Immortal Soul playlist. It's the same message. You would do yourself an enormous favour. It would go a long way to self-empowerment, whichever route suits you, whichever you feel more drawn to. Some people will be put off by the whole biblical side of it. So you may not like the Neville Goddard way of explaining it. A slightly less biblical way might suit you more would be Dr. Joseph Murphy. But there are plenty of others as well, all saying this same message. It's all an inside job, effectively. The external world is just presenting you a reflection, working exactly the same way the optic nerve is. You're getting caught on the rebound. You're seeing what isn't there. You're seeing the effect, like with the stars. You're seeing the effect of something that is actually beamed up onto what is effectively the inside of the lens of the eye. You're getting the rebound. You're getting caught on the rebound. But that story that is in those stars is guiding. So the astrology can be an enormous benefit. But remember, in the present, don't use it to try and predict the future. Use it as counselling in the moment. Go with, if you feel drawn to something at that particular moment, then run with that, because that will be your internal voice saying there's something in this you're going to benefit from. This is, I feel, a far better way of doing things. You will find the stress levels and things will rapidly decrease inside yourself because you will eliminate the conflict. You will bring peace upon the world. The world, in this sense, is what is going on inside you. You won't be puzzled over things. You won't be offended and such like. You won't feel the need to defend or go on the attack. I mean, there's plenty of attacks going on all the time. Just go and buy something and there'll be attacks on it. Like I said before, don't think there isn't a one world religion. It's not Christianity, it's pay again. Because if you are the beneficiary of an inheritance tax, if you're a beneficiary from a will, there's such a thing as an inheritance tax. So there's double dipping on money that's already had tax paid on it. But all this money that is, by tacit agreement, being squirreled away, would you say it's being wisely spent on ways that are actually of any benefit to the majority? So, continuously under attack by a one world government is being played out, but very cleverly hidden to imply that it hasn't happened yet. I would also say Agenda 2030. It's an 11-year period. It's not as implied that it is something that is still 6 years away. It is already happening. It's just how we interpret what we see and hear that will open up new doorways inside yourself. So respond, don't react to such things. That's really the answer. And weigh everything up internally. Right, I thought I'd share this. See, September is turning out to be a magnificent month. It's like even something that at one time I may have felt triggered by, I appreciate the art on it, and it's actually inspiring because I can also see in that picture, it's not unlike the valley at the bottom there where I'm actually on target to get an operational water tank by the end of this month. It's going to be massive, but it's construction wise, everything is going at a nice pace. So I'm just enjoying the moment of this month. The way it's unfolding, it's absolutely beautiful. So I thought I'd share that with you and share that what initially you may think is something awful or something you disagree with, but within that, when you reflect, and in that particular case, my eye was drawn to the art, this one, and these ones, of course, because I'm observing it. But then I'm weighing it up, and I'm appreciating the artwork. And in some ways, you could say it's inspirational. I don't need to read it. We've surpassed all this religious nonsense. All religions, effectively, are... If you imagine a meal that's put before you, and it's like the truth is actually the sprinkling of the pepper and the salt, there will be a bit of truth in all of it, which is there to be the lure to draw you into it. It wants to draw you into something. The word cult, for example, it just means following. You're following something, but it's morphed into a very negative connotation. But by very definition, all religions are cults. Whether you like that or not, it doesn't change the fact that it is. Because they're stepping in the way and stopping you finding the true answers which are inside of yourself. Do you not realize that Christ is within you? Not external, it's not up in the sky, it's within you. Or at least it is in real humans, shall we say. Anyway, unconditional love to you all.